Hello and welcome to episode 346 of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and I thought we were going to have some interesting games yesterday in college, and we did. And I'll have to start off with the Alabama-Auburn game. On the fourth down, last play of the game, there's no excuse for a guy catching a touchdown in the back of the end zone.
No.
Absolutely none. Unless you're celebrating thinking you already won the game.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a great pass, great line protection, and a good catch. Not a great catch, but a good catch. And that keeps Alabama in the conversation. I watched Washington State, which was a really good game.
A really good game.
A really good game. And I knew Washington State was going to bring it because this is, they want to keep the Apple Cup going, and that's going to happen for another 5 years. But also, they're trying to be viable as the Pac-2 because a lot of things are going to depend on how other people feel about the future and whether or not they join that conference or do whatever. And, it was good for them. And Oregon State had played a good year and lost their coach yesterday. And, again, you can't blame him either because, you're going to be in no man's land. If you stay at Oregon State, you can't. There's no guarantee what you're going to do.
No.
So I was not surprised when he did that. I think there's more to the Stoops not going from Kentucky going to A&M than we know right now.
Okay.
Ohio State, Michigan, I'm not surprised.
It was a really good game.
It's a good game, but I just knew, you can't tell me Harbaugh wasn't involved in the game plan and everything else. He was, and the coaching.
Of course.
He was. But, there's definitely a better team. Definitely a better team.
And now,
the fact you had the quarterback for Michigan talk about feeling hurt when he got overlooked, and he wanted to go to Ohio State. That was his dream school. So now this has become a big game for him, and they played well.
Yeah, they played very well.
But, Ohio State just said – they're like, I forget his record. It was 50-0 against everybody in the Big Ten except for Michigan.
Yeah. I mean, right now we have 4 big-time undefeated teams, right? Georgia, who hosts Alabama next week.
We've got Georgia, we've got Michigan.
We got Washington.
We've got Florida State, and we got Washington.
And if those 4 teams finish the season undefeated, I know obviously the Florida State quarterback situation is tragic, and that really does affect how effective you think they would be in a playoff game. But if you're the committee, that's a pretty easy 4, right?
Yeah, except it's not going to come down to that. I think Oregon's going to beat Washington.
Okay.
I firmly believe that. So now you have Washington, Oregon, Texas will beat Oklahoma State, Alabama, if they beat Georgia, then you've got 6 1-win teams.
Yeah, that would be the real monkey wrench in this whole thing, is if Georgia goes down to Alabama. If Georgia takes care of business, you got Georgia, most likely Michigan stay undefeated. I don't think Florida State's going to lose again. And then...
they're playing Louisville, right?
Yeah.
And Louisville stubbed their toe yesterday. But Louisville's not bad.
No, they're not. And again, like you said, their starting quarterback at Florida State might have his entire career over, so we're praying that he just gets, fully functional again, better life, all that good stuff. But, yeah. Well, I assume if Oregon beats Washington, I mean, if everything holds, except, like you said, Oregon beats Washington, then there's your 4.
That's what I think, yeah. But I really do. I think Oregon is as good as any team in the country right now.
And you said when we were off air, I feel like this is important to say, given all the Caleb Williams love we've heard for the last, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You said over Drake May and Caleb Williams, you would take Bo Nix as your quarterback if you were drafting high up.
I would. I just think he's got poise. He's been through a lot. He's got a great arm. He's got great pocket presence. He's good on the move. He's a very accurate passer. He's got a big arm. I would absolutely take him. He reminds me of Big Ben.
And if people don't remember, he was like, a Trevor Lawrence level recruit.
Oh, yeah. When he went to Auburn, he was like the guy.
Yeah. And then he stumbled a little bit, had some injury issues, and then he's reinvented himself at Oregon. And he does look phenomenal. And the same with Michael Penix, who's another probable first round quarterback at Washington who they'll play against. He was at Indiana, played okay, had a really bad injury, and then just reinvented himself at Washington.
Yeah, I mean, we got some really good games next week.
Very good.
We got Washington, Oregon. We got Georgia, Alabama. I saw the line in the Iowa-Michigan game, and Michigan's favored by 22. And Iowa has covered on the under every week for like 10 weeks. They're like an automatic, because they don't give up anything. They can't score anything.
No.
But I would bet the under, and I would bet the score to be 21-3, 21-6 Michigan. So I don't think it's going to be a good game. But I see Iowa covering and I'd take the under. And then in the ACC, Florida State, Louisville could win.
Yeah. I mean, before the injury to the quarterback, I don't think you would say that. But yeah, now I think there's a possibility.
No, I wouldn't say that. And then Oklahoma State was down 24-6 in the first halftime, and comes back and wins. So, I mean, they're just an odd team, but I don't think they're as good as Texas. So I expect Texas to win. And then you've got, Texas beat Alabama. So that kind of gives you the Texas-Alabama argument if they're both with one loss.
Yeah, it's exciting. I think if you're the committee, this is what you'd want. If you're football, yeah. It's really, really good.
Again, we just wish they would have had more teams this year rather than waiting till the following year.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a great year. If you had a 12-team playoff or even 8-team playoff, you would have an amazing playoff this year.
Yes, you would. We said you.
So, great games.
Yeah.
Maybe talk a little Heisman.
Who you got?
I got Bo Nix.
Okay. Very pro Nix.
I am very pro Nix. Like I said, he reminds me of Ben Roethlisberger in his prime, except he's probably a little bit more mobile.
I was like, I think he's more mobile and in slightly better shape. Or at least
in his prime.
Appearance shape,
in
yeah.
Big Ben's prime.
Yeah. No, he looks really good. Like I said, I think it's an exciting quarterback draft.
I would go Bo Nix, Jalen Daniel,
yeah,
Marvin Harrison, Penix, and then my man Ollie Gordon, who's leading the country in rushing. And had 160 yards and 5 touchdowns yesterday.
And it's probably right, because I don't know if he would even deserve to be there, but that means that Caleb Williams, the presumed number 1 pick, the last year's Heisman winner, wouldn't even finish in the top 5 for you.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair. He's not had quite the second season after that, but he still looks really good.
I think the guys I said are, and then if Jalen Daniel, if he come out, that complicates things too, because he's awesome.
He is. Yeah, if he comes out, you're talking probably 5, if not 6 first-round quarterbacks taken.
Yeah.
And they could all go in the top 10 to 15, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah. But I think Bo Nix would be the perfect quarterback for the Patriots, which I hate to say, but I do believe that.
But potentially a Patriot team without Bill Belichick, so.
Yeah.
And that would be a whole new regime, organization, all that stuff from top down. So it'd be,
Be an interesting world.
Yeah.
Let's go NFL Thanksgiving Day.
Not a good game.
With the psychotic Lions or schizophrenic Lions.
Yeah.
I mean, they dig a huge hole, try and come back, but it's too big of a hole. I don't understand. I mean, I do not understand that team.
No. You lost to the now 5-6 Packers. You had a reeling Jordan Love, who'd been playing a little bit better, but had one was his best game of the season against you.
Career game.
Career game. You got the spotlight on you in Detroit on Thanksgiving. And it was a chance to sort of put yourself in a really good position for the 2 seed, because Philly's at 9-1, but they're playing Buffalo today without Lane Johnson. And then you got Dallas at 8-3. You're now 8-3, and then San Francisco at 8-3. So that would have given you a game up on Dallas and San Fran for the 2 seed. So it's a pretty big deal.
Pretty big drop. 49ers looking good.
They are.
I like where they are.
Yeah.
Eagles are looking good. Cowboys are looking really good.
I will say the Cowboys are still that team where, like, I think it's because, like we've talked about on this podcast before, like ESPN can't stop talking about them. Bleacher Report doesn't matter. Everybody talks about the Cowboys all the time. And, you know, going back pretty much all the way to, you know, they haven't been a real contender since Troy Aikman. And it's just, you're hard to buy in no matter how good they are in the regular season. Although they do look really, really good.
But they are really executing on offense right now and defense.
They really are. Yeah, I can't give them that. Yeah.
But I want to see them play a good team. I mean, that was the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, but as they say, you can only play the teams put on your schedule, right?
That's what they say. That's what they say.
In today's game, the Texans got really close, but could not hit the tying field goal at the end with Jacksonville. So that puts Jacksonville 2 games up on the Colts. Yeah.
That was a really, really good game.
It was.
And I felt really – Amendola, I mean, he put Mendola, whatever he did, he put everything he had, Nick. 58 yards, and he hit the crossbar.
Yeah.
I mean, if they'd have been 1 or 2 yards more, he'd have made it.
That's all it took, yeah.
But if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a hell of a Christmas.
Right. But as we've said, if you're a Texans fan, you're feeling really good right now.
Oh, yeah, you're way ahead. Your team's way ahead of schedule.
Yeah. You feel like you have the quarterback for the next decade in C.J. Stroud, who played really well again today. And, you know, you're ahead of schedule. You're still in the playoff hunt. Like, this is about as exciting as you can possibly be.
Agreed.
As a young team.
And I've had a nice year. I've enjoyed watching Trevor Lawrence really have a good year.
It is. And it's nice to see, because he was the Prince of Promise, or whatever they called him. And he's been a little underwhelming through most of his career, but it looks like he's finally starting to put it together. Which, you know, it's nice to see, right?
And speaking of nice to see, the Raiders just went right down the field on the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs.
With Aiden O'Connell, or whatever his name is, going for his 3rd straight win.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that coming.
No. I did not either. But, I mean, they seem to really hate their coach with a passion.
Yeah.
Like,
they were a talented team. You know, they had a lot of pieces.
They were a contender, you know, coming in.
Josh McDaniels is just not a head coach.
No. And apparently, like I said, I mean, it seemed like he really alienated his team to just another level.
I think so. I mean, I think, you know, he comes with all his rings and everything, and I think he thinks he's that guy. But he was part of being a solution. He wasn't the solution. No.
And, you know, it's the same thing that every great coordinator or coach deals with when you have a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning, is like, how much is you and how much is them, right?
Right.
And he had a lot of success with probably the greatest NFL player of all time, or arguably in the conversation, and Tom Brady as his quarterback the entire time. So,
right.
And then Bill Belichick, an incredible head coach, you know, all timer, is is your head coach. So it's like, you know.
Well, since you brought him up, what do you think about Tom Brady popping off this week?
I think he had some good points. It reminded me a lot of watching Shaq and Chuck talk on the NBA, where they have a lot of good points, but at the same time, there's a part of them that sounds like, you know, old guy, you couldn't have made it in my era, son.
Yeah.
I do agree. Like, I understand the safety concern in football,
but a lot of that came from him.
Yeah, I was like, but he was the beneficiary of a lot of it, and you know,
absolutely.
The tuck rule, the no hitting below the knees, like, so it's weird that he's saying that.
I know I am on it. I'm very critical that he goes there when he was the instigator and beneficiary of a lot of those rule changes.
And the Patriots in general, like the way that they used to just mug receivers over and over again, with the theory being they can't call it. Eventually, they'll stop calling it, so we can just beat the crap out of receivers. And and the league adjusted to help teams like the Colts actually have a chance against the Patriots. So it's like a lot of the rule changes are there. And I know I beat this into the ground, but if they just implemented TV judge or sky judge, and on some of these, roughing the passer sacks, if that guy could just be like, no, he tried to get off him, that was a clean hit, pick up the flag. Like, we could eliminate a lot of the dumb penalties, I think, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Because, you were trying to I will say, we'll talk about the Steelers at the end because, as my dad pointed out, we went a little long with the Steelers last week, but there were 3 plays in a Steelers game this week where I was super excited and then I was nervously awaiting the flag. And, that's the only team that affects me in that way. But you see it all the time where you watch a guy take somebody down and you're just waiting on that flag. And that's not a fun way to watch. And it's not helping. So
no, not at all.
And I guess while we're on the Chiefs, who are 7-3 coming off a loss, they're not a very scary offense.
No.
Despite having Patty Mahomes, they just don't have,
They don't have a go-to receiver.
No.
And I think Rice. I think you could develop into that guy.
Yeah.
But he's just a rookie. They're not ready for him to play that role yet.
No, and Sky Moore.
Sky Moore has been a bust.
Kadarius Toney
Scantling has been totally unreliable.
Yeah. They're afraid to play Toney because they want him in the playoffs for his 3 plays he's going to make in case he gets injured again. And then, you watch that, like, they had a chance to win the game at the end or potentially win the game, and he couldn't catch a bomb. Dropped right in his hands. Like,
that was absolutely hideous. And there's that wasn't an extraordinary effort kind of a play. I mean, they should have had that.
And shout out to Mahomes, who just did not show any signs of frustration and just did not throw anybody under the bus after the game.
No, I really applaud him for that.
Because I feel like we always call out people when they call people out, but I thought the way he handled that situation, even on the field, was great.
Yeah.
So we're week 12 right now, week 13?
We are in week 12 because the Steelers are 7-4, right?
Yeah.
And they had a bye week, so this is week 12.
So now I'm looking at the 9-1 Eagles who play the Bills today. But despite the fact that they have only lost 1 game, which is all you can ask for in a team, that's incredible. I don't view them as that dominant. Do you?
No. I don't. I really don't. I think if the 49ers stay healthy, I think the 49ers are a better team.
That's what I was about to bring up. I was like, the 49ers are the only team I've seen this year that can look scary.
Except they had 3 games where they shit the bed.
Yeah. 3 games where they shit the bed. Which is,
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's part of that is the NFL.
It is. It is. But I mean, they have a plus 140 win differential. They've actually looked dominant at times. And they have the 3-game losing streak where they lost at the Browns, at the Vikings, and then they lost to Joe Burrow and the Bengals when they still had Joe Burrow. And that was a 3-game losing streak after starting out, really dominant. And they lost 19-17 to the Browns, 22-17 to the Vikings, and then they did get beat pretty handily by the Bengals, 31-17. But other than that, I feel like I said, if I was going to pick a team that I thought was the Super Bowl contender most dominant, that would be the team I would look to.
Yeah.
And the AFC, I don't know.
Well, the number 1 seed, I think, right now is Jacksonville.
Yeah. And then, but they're 8-3. The Ravens are currently 8-3. The Dolphins are 8-3. And Kansas City is still staying strong at 7-3. So they're not only a game back in the win, not in the loss column.
So, I mean, Jacksonville could be a top seed, but I'm not convinced.
No.
And the Dolphins, if it's a tough physical game, I'm not taking the Dolphins.
No, definitely not. And then Baltimore, they lost Mark Andrews for the year, which was awful. I mean, I guess you got to get rid of that tackle as well, the hip drop.
Yeah.
And if you're Baltimore, you lost to the Colts. You lost to the Steelers in one of the most inexplicable games ever, where you dropped 2 touchdown passes, maybe 3. And then you lost a close one to the Browns 30-31 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
But but this is their schedule remaining. They've got at the Chargers today, or Monday. Yeah, Monday night.
Yeah, tonight.
Yeah. Then they host the Rams. They're at the Jags, at the 49ers, host the Dolphins, and then they host the Steelers. So that is a brutal schedule down the stretch.
It is a tough schedule. That's a very tough schedule.
Whereas Jacksonville, who, they host the Bengals, they're at the Browns, host the Ravens, at the Bucks, Panthers, and at Titans. So it really feels like it is their, it does feel like it's theirs to lose, if you will. Because that's a pretty sweet schedule. And then the Dolphins, who I guess will be the other contender in AFC, at the Commanders, home for the Titans, home for the Jets, home for the Cowboys, at the Ravens, home for the Bills. So the Jacksonville definitely has the easiest schedule.
That's 4-2 at the worst.
Yeah. So yeah, Jacksonville could be our number 1 seed in the AFC. Crazy.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Yeah. And the Dolphins could be 2, which means you'd be playing your games in pretty good weather.
Yeah. And again, but the Dolphins, A-Chain gets hurt a lot. Mostert, Tua. I mean, you are worried about,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Browns, too, playing with the quarterback. They're a great defense. But, they play another team with a good defense, and you just end up playing the whole game on your side of the field, something bad can happen.
Yeah. Well, let's switch to the most exciting thing in professional sports right now. The NBA in-season tournament.
Which at least needs a better name.
It does need a better name, and they need to tweak the courts and uniforms a little bit. But as we talked a little bit offline, I think the one great thing the NBA has going for it right now is they have buy-in from their stars in this tournament.
And you need that in every league.
Every league. And as I talked to you about it, the fact that there is revenue sharing, like legitimate revenue sharing in the NBA, I think that does help. Because the players realize this is part of their money too. So, And like I said, LeBron James coming out talking about how much they want to win this tournament for his teammates, get them that extra cash, and they're 4-0 in tournament play.
Well, the interesting thing is, the point you just made about the revenue sharing.
Yeah.
There's no question if this draws viewers, and it does well when they do the renegotiation for the next media contract. This might even be a standalone on another network.
Oh yeah.
So this could be a real revenue stream for them.
Yeah, and you look at the teams that are doing well, right? The Bucks 4-0 in tournament play. The Knicks 2-1 in tournament play. Lakers 4-0. Phoenix 3-1. These are your teams, the great players, right?
Right.
The Pelicans 3-1. Sacramento Kings, who have been on fire, 3-0. Like, the good teams are winning. You expect it because they are regular season games, but and then the surprising Pacers are 4-0 in Group A. So you get some really good basketball, and I think the tournament has been. It's kept people talking, whether it's people like Barkley and Shaq sort of shitting on it. Media people, LeBron talking about how important it is to make his teammates win. So, I think it's accomplished a lot of what they wanted, a lot of their goals. Right?
Yeah, I can't argue with that. And I can't argue with the Atlanta Hawks putting up 140-plus in consecutive games.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. These are games that are usually not, well, the ones up till this week are usually not in the focal point of sports fans who are more focused on college football and the NFL.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to get into basketball season, so now we'll start to see, but it just makes sense.
It really does. And
So we'll see how it goes.
and we have to talk a little bit of. I know we're 16 games into the season, but let me read the top four in each conference. Right in the
Okay.
East, Boston Celtics, not surprising. The number 2 team in the East with an 11-5 record is our Orlando Magic.
You could say it's not surprising, but you could also say I would say it's about time,
Yeah,
but it is surprising.
yeah.
But it is about time.
Yeah, the Wagner
I mean, when
brothers.
you draft that high for so long, and you've changed up so many coaches and so many general managers, you got to hope you hit it right some point in time, right?
Yeah. But
So go ahead, go on. Who's your 3-4 in the East?
Oh, well, I want to talk about the Magic a little bit more because what's really exciting about the Magic is Jonathan Isaac, who everybody sort of wrote off from injuries and crazy, is playing some really good defense right now. And they're playing him in limited minutes. Jalen Suggs, who we thought might be a bust, right?
As all appearances last year, I thought he was a bust, yes.
But you watch him play, and he's difficult to analytically put in place. But he just makes plays.
Okay.
He's that guy that, like, if there's a loose ball, Jalen Suggs is getting that loose ball. He knows where to be. He knows where to pass. Like, if he could get with that Kawhi Leonard shooting coach and just become slightly more efficient, he would be an absolute stud. The Wagner brothers, Paolo, like the Magic are really good. And then 3 is the Bucks with Dame and Giannis, and then 4 is the Sixers. So, not really surprised.
3 out of 4 definitely expected, but the 1 probably not.
No. And then in the West, the first place Minnesota Timberwolves,
totally unexpected.
Followed by the second place Oklahoma City Thunder.
Somewhat unexpected.
Followed by the Dallas Mavericks and then the Phoenix Suns.
And you could say it's unexpected that the Suns are 4th. And those 4 to me are really surprising.
Yeah.
All 4. That I would go all 4 surprise me.
But you can go all the way to the 8th or the 9th seed, which is the Pelicans. They're only 3 games back of first place. So the West is really, really competitive. And then obviously the Jalen, the injury to the Nuggets is probably, they're at 10 wins now. They're sitting in 5th place. But if you told me Timberwolves, Thunder, Mavs in that order, I would be kind of shocked.
Because you'd be looking for Denver and Golden State and Phoenix.
Yeah, and Phoenix is there at 4. And Phoenix is yet to play with everybody. And then Sacramento is surging right now that De'Aaron Fox is back and healthy. And then the aforementioned Lakers, who are 4-0 in tournament play, are 10-7, and they're just 2 games back in first place. So they're right there, too. And then 8th, the feisty Rockets.
And that's totally unexpected because you expect them to be 30.
I think that Mazzulla is a really good coach.
Oh, there's no question about that. He is a very good coach.
Yeah, and I still don't understand all the things that happened to him in Boston with his exit. I know he did some inappropriate things, but not anything illegal, obviously. But I think they really missed out on that. I mean, they're in first place in the other side, so they're doing just fine. But he's a really good coach. And then they just put a nice team in there.
Yeah.
And they seem to have
free agents. They had money to spend, and some free agents went there and took the money, and they're playing well.
Yeah. And then I guess the only real disappointment would be the 7-8 Clippers in the 11th seed.
And where are the Nets?
The Nets are in the 11th seed in the East at 7-8.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then our bottom dwellers, just for people that aren't paying attention because it's early in the year, the Pistons have 2 wins, the Wizards have 2 wins, the Grizzlies have 3, and the Spurs have 3. So,
yeah,
none of those are really surprising. I think the only thing if you're Memphis is you are currently second to last place with 3 wins, and you're still 11 games out from getting John Morant back. So you've almost written this season off at this point, I would assume, right?
Well, you know what? What's not a bad thought here is you're that low, and then you can have John Morant back, and then maybe you are able then in the draft next year to really acquire something to go with what you have and have a much better shot and much better team.
Yeah, because if you're looking at
He
Memphis,
also lost Steven Adams.
yeah, Steven Adams, and then you know now a Houston Rocket, an incredible player for Team Canada, and a controversial player, but Dylan Brooks was on your team last year too. You know,
Yep.
so you had Adams, Brooks, and Ja were three of your probably top 6, top 7 players, and they're all gone for one reason or another. So
Absolutely.
that
Exactly. 100% right.
that does explain it quite a bit. Yeah, and everyone
Well, I
else
have a
makes
big
sense.
NBA quadruple header on Christmas Day coming up, though.
Yeah. No, it's very exciting. I'm pumped. I'll do a wrestling moment, Dad.
Oh,
Last night was WWE Survivor Series, and there was a wrestler named CM Punk. Have you heard of CM Punk?
I have not.
He was in WWE a decade ago, and for the 3 years that he was out of wrestling, people would just chant his name. He left WWE in very ugly circumstances. There was a staph infection that went long, and he was suing WWE. They were suing him. And he went to AEW, got kicked out of AEW, and then last night at Survivor Series in Chicago, where people said he would never go again, he ended up in the WWE. And you couldn't tell if it was kayfabe or if it, what was scripted, what was not scripted. But he's a very polarizing figure, let's just say. He seems like a very much a speak his mind sort of player, and you agree with him, he's great, and if you disagree with him, you're an idiot kind of person. But what the WWE did is like 4 wrestlers apparently immediately got their bags and left and didn't talk to anybody afterwards. And then they had people in the ring as he was coming down to the arena were yelling obscenities at him and being held back by security for whatever that's worth. So they played it perfectly. Whether any of it's real or not, who can say? But, the WWE clearly seems like they have a stranglehold on wrestling again. And they start up AEW, which seemed like it had a real chance to be a competitor. Seems like they are definitely the second tier, and they are not a competitor anymore. So, from a sports business standpoint,
the brand reestablished itself.
It did. It did. And it felt like people liked the WWE the most all along, but it felt like it was like almost on the cusp of divorce. And then all of a sudden their spouse started picking it up and cleaning up and doing nice stuff around the house again. And they were like, oh, we're back. If you're going to put the effort in, we'll stay with you kind of a situation. So, and that's for any of our wrestling fans.
I guess it's time to give you your Steeler moment.
Well, let's do our food and entertainment, and we'll wrap with Steeler moments. So that way...
Okay, I got a great food moment.
That's what I figured.
Last night I went to, it's called Pizzeria Mozza, Mozza, short for mozzarella.
Yeah.
It was a wood-burning pizza, and wood-burning pizzas always taste good. But the problem is they're usually soggy in the middle.
They are.
This one was crisp in the middle. The whole bottom crust was crisp. It was really, really good.
But
and I had a margarita with fresh mozzarella on it, and it was to die for. It was outstanding.
And I assume it wasn't dry, right? It wasn't like due to a lack of sauce or...
No, I had plenty of crushed San Marzano tomato,
Okay.
Parmesan, fresh basil, and the fresh mozzarella. It wasn't overly cheesy. It was really sauced well, but the crust was phenomenal. And the taste of everything was really, really good.
Yeah, because usually with a wood burn, you've got like, your first slice is going to be pretty outstanding, and then it's going to get significantly soggier as you go.
Yeah.
And
My fourth slice was a little droopy at the point.
Right.
Because it had been sitting on the plate. But the first slice I took out, when I bit into it, crunched. So, big fan. This was in Newport Beach. I know they have them in LA, and it's chain, so I don't know how spread the chain is. But I would say outstanding.
Well, as someone, I do enjoy crunch, especially with my outer crust.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like when the very first bite's a little floppy. As long as it firms up as we get further into the pizza. I like the contrast.
See, I like that at Fiore's, but on the wood-burning thing,
Yeah.
I mean, this was amazing.
Yeah,
It was really good.
That's pretty phenomenal.
And all the pizzas were like dinner-sized plate. You cut into 4s, and it was filling. It was really good.
Okay. I have a bizarre Thanksgiving food moment, Dad.
Okay.
We had some plans that fell through due to some health issues with the family, and we were forced to order food. We planned on getting Chinese food because we figured that would be a pretty easy get, but they were actually closed on Thanksgiving. So we got McDonald's, and I had chicken McNuggets as my turkey.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The
Oh,
crazy.
Jason,
I had
you're
the
killing
boot. I had them all. Dipped in their weird barbecue sauce, and it was nostalgic. And it's probably gonna took 40 to 50 hours off my life from eating McDonald's, but it wasn't terrible. It was pretty good.
Did you also have a McRib?
No, I didn't get the McRib. I had a QPC, as the kids call it these days, the quarter pounder with cheese.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I remember you used to love the McRib.
I know. I don't know what I was thinking as a child. I haven't had one in years, but I don't feel like I would enjoy it anymore.
I don't think you would either. I think you've been exposed to much better food.
Yeah. While I still have the taste buds of a grade school child, I do feel like in some areas, and that's one of them, that I don't think I could go back to the McRib.
Okay.
But yeah, that was my food moment, was McDonald's on Thanksgiving.
And I also have, the other two food moments I would have being out here in Newport Beach. I'd have Mama D's and the meat ravioli, which I talked about every time I ever go. They're amazing. And then I would talk about the grilled ruby red trout and the mustard-based barbecue beef ribs at Gulfstream, which I've had and talked about on the show. So I did instant replay on both of those meals, but the pizzeria matzo was new.
Okay. And we did go to one new restaurant that had a really cool atmosphere, but the food was very mid.
Okay.
So I didn't feel like... And here's what I would say. I wanted to leave a comment for them, but like... They name their fries after their restaurant. Whatever. I think it's like Fire Grill Fries or whatever they are. And you would think that would be some kind of... There'd be something to that, right? If you're going out of your way not to call them just fries, but and they were just regular frozen French fries with salt, which I thought was extra disappointing.
Okay.
Because you assume if you're naming them after your restaurant, like you're implying that there's something special about these French fries, that you would either put some kind of special seasoning on them, or they'd be fresh cut,
Right.
or
something unique that you wouldn't get anywhere else.
Yeah. And, they were like Burger King level fries. And it was just like, well, this seems like because you've given me these expectations and then you follow through. So, yeah. Oh.
Any entertainment?
No, but this is a semi-food moment / Black Friday, Cyber Monday situation. On recommendation from you, who got the recommendation from Kaylee, I got the Owala water bottle.
Yes.
That thing's awesome.
It is totally awesome.
It's an insulated bottle that keeps your drinks cold, and I assume it keeps them warm. Is it?
I don't know that. I never put anything warm in it. All I know is it keeps it cold for over 24 hours.
Yeah, and I have it every day at work, and it keeps it the same temperature you put it in. 24 hours later, it's that temperature. Now, I have not done the same kind of test you have, or leaving it in my car in Florida, but the times I've had it exposed, it's been incredible. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. Because I have other brands of that, and they're not very good. But Owala, it's a big win.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will also tell you then that my entertainment moment was a book.
All right.
I finished Resurrection Walk by Michael Conley, which combines the Lincoln Lawyer character Mickey Haller with Harry Bosch.
Which sounds awesome.
And it was absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Both working on the same case, goes back and forth, so you get a couple different angles and a couple different motivations, and they're half brothers, and that's interesting as well.
Mm-hmm. And I guess when you think about,
I would highly recommend that one.
And the only difficulty with the adaptation would be that Bosch is an Amazon property, and the Lincoln Lawyer appears to be a Netflix property.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing.
Yeah. Because both those shows are actually really good too. So if you're not a reader,
they are really good.
Yeah, the Lincoln Lawyer.
They're really good.
Yeah,
and you could tell, there's probably going to be another show down the road with Ballard and Maddie.
Yeah.
And so you can see that one coming too. So really enjoyable. Well done. Good book. So pick up Resurrection Walk if you like those characters.
Yeah, definitely. Great recommendation. And now the last thing we're going to talk about before we say our goodbyes is our Steeler moment. So if it was too much for you last week, you don't have to listen.
But we're really happy that they fired Matt Canada, first of all.
Yes.
2 years too late, but they still fired him.
And like I told my dad earlier, there's a video of Chris Boswell, who's the Steelers kicker. He kicked 5 field goals in a game. The Steelers won 15-7 or 15-9. And Matt Canada was a few feet ahead of him. And Matt Canada was slapping hands. And the kicker yelled, "Shut up, Matt. You had nothing to do with this." So if you needed to know how toxic that situation was for the Steelers locker room, I think that's probably the best example, besides all the sideline ranting and raving and screaming and kicking.
And they gained 400 yards today for the first time in their last 56 games.
Which is the second longest active streak up in the last 30 years.
Right.
And they threw the ball over the middle successfully.
And Pat Freiermuth had over 100 yards.
Yeah. So they won.
But they still didn't score many points.
No, they didn't. And anytime they were blitzed, Kenny Pickett looked completely scared and lost.
But I'm going to take it as a positive because 400 yards and they won. It was the first week with, not even a whole week. It was the first week with this new approach with a new guy calling plays, Coach Sullivan, and Coach Faulkner being the temporary OC.
Yeah, and the nice thing is Sullivan is not, he called for the Giants, and I want to say the Broncos previously.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he's just, he's not Matt Canada 2.0. He's done some stuff. So
he's done some stuff.
And,
things seem to be pretty good.
TJ Watt, 2 sacks. That Thompson, the safety they signed, he's looked really good these last 2 weeks. Even with Minka out, Joey Porter Jr. had a pretty good game.
And if it wasn't for the deflections that Chase got, they might not even have scored.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's as we said, the Steelers could win anywhere from, they're going to win at least 10 games, and it's within the realm of possibility that they win 11 or 12, just based on the way that, the way things are. And I don't know, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's insane. But, I enjoyed it today. It was relaxing. It was fun to watch something different. I was very happy.
Yes. And I guess since we're just riffing, because people have either stayed tuned or not, the Broncos, who have won 5 straight, are up 14-0 on the Cleveland Browns right now.
With the number 1 defense in the NFL.
But to be fair, Russell Wilson has thrown 3 for 8 for 47 yards, and yet they have 2 touchdowns. So
how have they scored?
They have 2 rushing touchdowns.
Okay.
Yeah. But it doesn't look like they've only rushed for... Well, they've not rushed for 92 yards, so they have been running the ball right down their throat. But the Steelers had good luck rushing against them as well. So, yeah.
I want to shout out to anybody that bet the under today on the Patriots-Giants game with 17 combined points. So whoever bet the under cleaned up on that one.
Yes, they did. And then I guess another important news, Philadelphia went right down and scored. They're up 7-0.
And I will sit here, I've had the Raiders game on, and the Raiders look, I don't know, like they're transformed.
Well, if you recall, I think I picked them to finish second in the division.
That was with Jimmy G at quarterback.
Yeah.
Whoever the unknown O'Connell is and the new interim coach, it's a nice combination because they got all kind of energy and they've been all over the field on offense and on defense.
Yeah, they look.
Kansas City's had a 3-and-out and a 5-and-out.
Well, again, as good as Kansas City's defense has been, their offense, you're just not scared. There's not a single player to look on that team. I know we discussed this earlier, so I'll keep it short. But, Travis Kelce talking about how he thinks about retiring every day. And then this hodgepodge of receivers. And like you said, Rashid Rice looks like he might be something next year or the year after. But I think they got a little too cute. You saw the Patriots did this a couple of times too, where you have success with almost no assets like they did last year's Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think, well, we don't need to worry about receiver. We got Patrick Mahomes. We have Tom Brady. And then eventually you leave them so short one year that they're not even a threat anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that about does it for the show.
Hey, everyone, enjoy the conference championships next week in the NCAA. I think there'll be some really good games. I'm looking forward to the Pac-12. I'm looking forward to the SEC game. And, of course, I'm looking forward to watching Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship.
Yes.
And I'm as happy that they're in it as I am that if they would have lost, Oklahoma would have been in it. So that was like a double win for me.
Nice. Double wins. All right, we'll talk to you next week, and have a happy December almost.